good morning, and welcome to this edition of Ask the Advocate, your workplace and employment questions answered in 3 minutes or less. Today, we're joined by a special guest, Mr. Tim White, a human resources executive, practitioner, and veteran in the craft, who's here to talk to us about the subject of the Great Resignation. Welcome, Tim. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Patrick. How are you, my friend?
Wonderful. Glad to have you here. For our audience, can you give us a good framework for what the Great Resignation is?
Great question. So the Great Resignation really looks at the exodus of the workforce, right? And it really does not particularly matter whether we're talking voluntarily or involuntarily, but just the mere fact of this huge and record-breaking exodus of the labor force across all industries. It had an impact on all of our industries, yes.
Okay, great. And why is this so important to employers and for employees?
Yeah, so it's important because, for a lot of organizations, that's where the rubber meets the road, right? That's where the work is getting done, however it may have been designed. What's significant in this resignation is that we've seen record numbers. The research is saying 24 million employees have actually exited their employers' workplaces. And so that's significant when we think in terms of how do we get product to market? How do we get innovation? How do we get great ideas around product design and development? How do we make sure that our customers are having the right kind of and the desired experience with our businesses? And so in the absence of these workers, we got to think about what impact is that having on two things. One, the organization, but secondarily, the employee themselves. But certainly it's having an impact on the organizations because we've got to now look at work redesign. We got to figure out how do we make sure that those who have remained don't get overexercised in the work that they do. So the implications of it are significant.
Wow. Tell us a little bit more about the work you do with organizations around kind of the Great Resignation and the employee culture.
Yeah, so we do a lot of work, and I'm glad you mentioned culture because we do a lot of work around culture. There's a quote that I often recall that's been accredited to several different individuals, but that quote simply says, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." Right, and so the work that we are engaged in at at HR Upshot, is that we work with those organizations specifically around culture and the worker experience. We do a lot of work in the space of diversity, equity, and inclusion, trying to help organizations not only leverage that diversity, but to work towards engaging. And when we look at employee engagement rates, we see that those numbers are looking very, very dire. And so we try and make sure that we focus on making sure that our clients are able to develop the right kinds of strategy that will enhance that worker relationship, because the end result of that hopefully will then be working against things like this Great Resignation.
Perfect. How can employers and clients be in touch with you to begin working with you?
Yeah, fantastic. So they can reach us on our website, which is hr-upshot.com. Or they can send me an email direct to twhite@hr-upshot.com. And we'd
Perfect.
be more than happy to work with them. Looking forward to it.
Oh, I'm sure. I think it would be fantastic if they contacted you and began working with you. So again, we just want to thank you, Tim White, for joining us on this segment of Ask the Advocate, your workplace and employment questions answered in 3 minutes or less. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Leave any questions you have in the comment section below, and we will answer your question on the next segment of Ask the Advocate. And we're looking forward to have Tim White joining us again on our next segment. Thank you.
Absolutely.